Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm Andy RC and today I'm going to be checking out an FPV backpack. Now it is not this one, this is the one that I have been using. I've never really had the need for an FPV backpack because my flying is done very close to where I live, so I can just luckily carry everything to the field. But you may have noticed that I have been doing a bit of traveling around and going to different locations. I've also joined a indoor sports hall where they fly smaller Cinewhoop style aircraft, and this bag is perfect for that, but it is not perfect at all for the bigger freestyle journeys because, as you can see, there's no way for me to mount a copter to it. Of course I could modify it and things, but you can get FPV backpacks. The problem that I found when I was first looking at them though is the price. There are some that are like $200, which is ridiculous. So the backpack that I'm going to be checking out today at the making of this video is affordable. So that is what interested me the most, and hopefully it's going to be replacing this guy. But first of all, I'll show you how I've been using this guy and see if I can translate it to the new backpack, which is going to be bigger and hopefully more suited for these adventures where I take bigger models, because this guy is fine for the smaller models. And actually this is the smaller model setup that I've got right here, and I'll show you how I've been using it. So I've got this zip in the front here, and I think all this has got is just a battery checker, very important. Sometimes put micro SD cards in there and little bags as well. And in the side, this is where I keep all my little tiny Lipos for the tiny whoops and things. And what I usually do is I usually charge them. So the charged ones go in this side and the used ones go in this side, so that I can remember which ones that I have used, so that I don't have to keep messing around checking the voltage. I do get it wrong sometimes. And I know there's probably some people thinking, oh, you should use a Lipo safe bag. Well, I would say to that, check out the videos on what happens when a Lipo safe bag goes up in flames. It is basically just a bag to throw whilst it's on fire. They aren't actually that useful. So I've never had a problem with this system either, and I don't have room for a Lipo safe bag in here, whereas maybe in the new bag that I'm going to be checking out there might be. But I still don't think I would use it because I think it takes up too much valuable space. So then in this compartment here, I've got my power meter. It's always good to have this. I find that when I'm traveling around, people want to know what the power of their VTX is like if they're having issues, so I bring that with me, and of course the all-important nut remover, because yeah, look at the state of these props. Yeah, we went out at the weekend with some local lads, and yeah, this one had a massive tumble. So what I usually do with this compartment here, it's empty at the moment. Oh no, there we go. We've got a battery in here. I do the same with this compartment as I do with the smaller batteries. So I put all of my charged Lipos for the bigger models in here, and as I go through my flights, they end up in this compartment and it separates them out. But yeah, I've got a few more things in here, like antennas and stuff like that. And then in here, this is where my goggles are, and there isn't enough room for them to go in the case, but I don't like to really keep them in the case, which is probably why my true D-diversity plastic housing has all cracked here, and also the antennas get bent and everything. I usually take the antennas off though. But yeah, the goggles are in there. I've also got a little 3-inch model that is the Signet, the non-pro version. But then I've just got my Tyrannus in here, so that is just in there without a case because there's no room for a case, but I don't really mind that getting bashed up. And then these are the used batteries from the weekend. Those just go in there. And I've got, like I say, this little 3-inch copter goes in there nicely. I got some tools in here, and I've got some on-the-go cables, all sorts of things. And these are the smaller batteries for the 3-inch model. Now, for the indoor configuration, I have got my indoor models. So I actually keep some batteries in here, but these are kind of worn batteries that I need to really dispose of. So we've got the Tiny Hawk, although this one has met its maker, really. I think it's got a crack on the top there. It's had a few crashes. And this is the Tiny Leader, and I sometimes take the Mobula 7 HD and other models as well. And there's some batteries and stuff in there, a little bit of a mess. But yeah, that all just fits in there, and I take a field charger with me. So this is for the Cinewhoop models, and then I've got a huge battery in here. It's a 4S, and it is 10 amp, and that can be plugged into the XT60 here. But I've also somewhere, it might not be in here because I'm not sure whether I took it. Yeah, oh, here we go. Yeah, I've got it. Got one of the little ISDT chargers, so I can charge the bigger Lipos in the field with this guy, because quite often I will run out of batteries, because it takes a few batteries in a new location to get used to the place, and you tend to find that it's actually the last flights that you do that are the best, which is unfortunate when it goes dark early, because your best flights don't have the best lighting conditions. But hopefully, now the clocks have changed here in the UK, that will be different. And I've also got spare props in this compartment as well, other tiny chargers. So actually, you know, all of the compartments in this bag have suited me. There is just one big issue. As I mentioned, there is no way to put quads onto it, and I'm kind of limited to taking just 2 quads with me, and it's guaranteed that at the end of the day both quads will have been damaged. In fact, yeah, I had a huge smash with this one, and I also had a big crash with the Alien. So this is what the Alien currently looks like. If I can get it in shot, it's absolutely caked in mud. So yeah, I need to sort that out somehow. And I need a lot of help, because recently having problems with my neck, I also need to take a chair. So this bag doesn't quite do the job. So let's take a look at this product. So this is the new product on the left. It's the URUAV FPV backpack. And I've had to go really wide on the camera as well, just to show you a size comparison with the bag that I'm currently using. It's quite a bit bigger. When it arrives in the post, it's all folded up, and I thought, oh, this is actually quite small. But yeah, it's fairly large in comparison to the one that I have been using. But as you can see, it is designed for FPV. I think they say that it can hold 5 copters. So let's see what configurations I can come up with that will hold my gear. Now, I'm already liking that we have got this side pocket here, but on the other side, we don't have that, so I can't do my battery separating thing. But we've got these 2 straps here. I guess that could be good for maybe holding a chair or maybe a tripod, because I know there's a few people out there that would like to test their copter on my speed meter. I think that would fit in there quite nicely. But also you can have copters going on there as well. I think they say that you can get 5 quadcopters using this, but I'm not sure I'd need 5, but definitely 3 would be good, because as I say, quite often both quadcopters come back in a broken state, but then again, I could probably take 5 and all 5 come back in a broken state. Just means that I have to stop flying when they're both broken. But yeah, we've got these 2 clips on the front, and that is to go around the quadcopters, and then these as well you could use for whatever. So I think this is the main compartment here, and it doesn't come sort of set up. What you are given are these Velcro compartments, and they've sort of said use them as you want. And they've kind of suggested in their pictures that you have sort of like a level here for a quadcopter and a level here for a quadcopter, and then your transmitter and your goggles go here, and then there's a compartment here. So that's how I could perhaps deal with my different batteries. But there's also a part at the back here, and I think this part here is designed to be pretty flat to have like a laptop or something, but I use the SpeedyBee app and On The Go, or the SpeedyBee Bluetooth adapter, so maybe I could use that back compartment for batteries or things like that. And you get this waterproof cover with it as well. Now in the UK, I don't know, maybe that could be helpful, especially if you've got your copters on the outside and it starts raining and you don't have conformal coating. However, I can see a sharp prop going through that for sure, so not sure I'd actually end up using that, but who knows. It doesn't take up much space and it can be just stored in the back somewhere. Anyways, let me see if I can configure this to my liking. So I've had to come outside to actually demonstrate the configuration that I've come up with, which is a good thing really, because that's where it's going to be used. And there's no doubt that this URUAV backpack can hold more things than the tiny bag that I was using before. And it can carry, well, here I'm carrying 3 quadcopters, and it could easily carry 4 on the outside. Now, unfortunately, I don't think these straps here would hold my folding chair, but I do think they would hold a tripod, so I could use it for that. And usually I have to carry my chair separately as well as 2 quadcopters, so all I'll have to carry is a chair and this backpack. However, I have found a slight issue with this. You see, this bag here, because its compartments are sort of on the top like that, and I can fit things in there and there, it sits on its bum like that. Whereas this guy, because its compartments are that configuration, then it sits on its back, which means that when I go to these locations and it's very muddy, I mean even today it's sunny but we've got some mud around, it means that with this guy, when it's sat like that, it only gets muddy underneath, whereas this chap is getting muddy on its back, which means that, yeah, even there it's wet. So it means that when I'm finished with my flying, this could all be covered in mud and that could get on my back. However, there is a lot more room, as I say, so maybe I could bring a mat with me for this to lie on or something like that. But that's the first thing that I've noticed. Now, in order to get to the compartments, it kind of has to lie on its back as well in the way that it's configured. Otherwise, if you unzip the first compartment, then everything will kind of tip out compared to the bag that I was using, and you'll have to take your quadcopters off first as well, which, well, that's fine, isn't it? So I'll do that and we'll take a look at how I've configured it inside. Now, there's actually way more space in this guy that I'm used to, so I actually wasn't able to fill it up. On the side I've got my Cinewhoop batteries, and I've actually got a GoPro on there as well. So if I unzip this top compartment here, so I've got my transmitter, I've got my Fat Sharks, and then I've got room for the Cinewhoop case at the same time. I've got a 3-inch model in there, which is the Signet, and then I've got my 10 amp 4S battery for charging, and then in here I can put all of my batteries that I've charged as well as the chargers. We do have this brace here that goes across there. I wish it was a little bit lower down, and I kind of wish that it had one across all of them as well, because this stuff does sort of all fall forward when it's upright. Also, it's quite challenging to find things to put in this part, because as soon as it unzips, then stuff can fall out of there. So I've just got a couple of tools. I think for me, the only thing I wish it had really was more little tiny pockets, more like this, so I can sort of separate out tools and things. But I suppose you can just dump everything in there. It's just a different way of doing things, I guess, and maybe this is more efficient. You know, when I look at all of the other FPV backpacks on the market, they all are in this configuration and not that configuration, so I'm sure it's like that for a reason. As for what is in the compartment at the back, as I mentioned, I don't need a laptop, so I've just put my spare props in there and things that are fairly flat. So yeah, that's how I've got it set up. And even though I think there could be some improvements with it, it's very cheap, and I know that the guys that I fly with are going to be very happy that they're not going to have to carry some of my stuff for me. So one last thing I want to check is this waterproof bag thing, and I want to see if it goes over without the props sticking through. I think it's just meant to go like that. So yeah, I can cover up all of the underneath. It's probably best covering it up with the back though. Perhaps I can use it to cover up the back, because yeah, just look at this, that is wet there, and so is the back as well, just from it sitting on the grass here today. But yeah, I've not quite done that very well, but yeah, perhaps that's why I can use that, because they do advertise it as being waterproof. So I suppose when I get to the location that I'm at, I could just store this in one of the compartments, maybe reverse it, then it can sit on that, and that's how I can stop it from getting muddy or wet when I'm carrying it back.
Do you remember how you held me then? Now you got me reaching out. And do you see you got me falling in more times than I can get out. Down in the deep of my mind, I crawl for you and you're always inside. Down in the deep of my mind, how long do I got to keep you, to keep you? Down in the deep of my mind, I crawl for you and you're always inside. Down in the deep of my mind, trying so hard not to keep you, to keep you. falling in more times than I can get out.